The film opens with Big Stan, a successful real estate agent in Los Angeles, seemingly living the dream, but beneath the surface, all is not as it seems because Stan has been quietly embezzling small sums from his clients, including Mrs. Darby, accumulating a hidden fortune until eventually his deceit catches up with him and he is arrested for first-degree fraud. Found guilty, Stan faces a minimum sentence of 3 years in prison, and in a frantic attempt to avoid incarceration, he pressures his new lawyer to find a way out, even suggesting bribing the judge, but despite their efforts, the verdict stands firm. Afterward, his lawyer recommends fleeing the country to Brazil, but with his assets frozen, Stan finds himself unable to leave and is now trapped facing an uncertain future. In the coming months, during dinner with Mindy, she suggests having a child to keep her company while he is in prison, but Stan brushes it off, joking they would have to give the baby up for adoption when he gets out, and his cold response creates tension, causing Mindy to storm off in frustration. At a bar, Stan meets a heavily tattooed man and offers him money for advice on surviving prison, and though the man hesitates, he agrees, warning Stan that guards ignore inmate violence unless there is an escape, while also telling Stan his appearance will make him a target for attacks. The man suggests Stan get intimidating tattoos, but when Stan reveals the tattoo of his mother, it is clear it won't scare anyone off, so he then advises Stan to join one of the prison gangs, usually divided by race, for protection, and when Stan struggles to fit in with any gang, the man offers a last resort to gain respect by killing someone. The next morning, nursing a hangover, he hopes it was all just a bad dream, but his anxiety only deepens when Mindy reminds him that prison is still looming on the horizon, though to offer some comfort, Mindy tries to uplift his spirits, reminding him of his resilience and his ability to always find a way. Determined to prepare for prison, Stan throws himself into intense exercise and even gets a tattoo to make himself seem tougher, and seeking more, he joins a karate class, but his impatience soon takes over, and frustrated with the slow pace, he challenges the instructor, leading to a fight with another student and getting kicked out.
Later, he meets an old man called the Master, who impresses Stan by effortlessly punching a hole through a wall. So Stan's desperation to learn self-defense and toughness deepens as his sentence nears, prompting him to invite the mysterious Master to stay and meet Mindy, hoping the tough training will prepare him. During dinner, Mindy tries to keep things light, but the Master's cryptic tone unsettles her, leaving both feeling panicked. And the next morning, Stan is awoken by blood dripping onto his face, as the Master orders Mindy to make a bizarre smoothie from ox pancreas and horse testicles, which Stan must drink. The training is grueling and bizarre, involving the Master hitting Stan with a flaming stick, and when Mindy tries to intervene, Stan tells her to run, insisting it is man stuff, while on other days he is hung by his skin to test his pain tolerance and forced to eat disturbing foods like scorpions in a brutal attempt to toughen him up. Meanwhile, Mindy becomes increasingly agitated by the chaos and the Master's erratic behavior, especially his constant smoking, eventually demanding Stan kick the Master out. In a twisted attempt to show Mindy the depth of his fear, Stan stages a break-in, locking all the doors to make it seem like someone is about to assault her. But as the charade unfolds, the tension between them reaches a breaking point, pushing them both to the edge. And afterward, Mindy leaves Stan, though the Master remains unfazed, even pleased that her absence means more intense training. For 5 months, Stan endures grueling exercises without rest, pushing himself beyond his limits, until by the end, he shocks the Master by defeating him in combat. His final test comes when he returns to the karate school where he was once thrown out, easily overpowering the instructor this time, marking the completion of his transformation. Fully prepared, Stan feels ready for whatever comes next, so the Master and Stan's lawyer drive him to court. And though Mindy hasn't spoken to him, she watches from her car feeling sad as Stan enters the courthouse and is soon after taken to prison. On the bus ride to prison, a fellow inmate makes an inappropriate move towards Stan, but he quickly asserts himself and puts the man in his place. Upon arrival, the prisoners are greeted by Warden Gass, who cheerfully advises them not to bother the guards, but assures them they can do as they wish with each other.
During intake, Stan and the others are ordered to strip for a cavity search, and the guards are shocked and horrified by what they find on Stan's heavily tattooed and modified rear. Stan is then assigned a cell and meets his new cellmate, Larry, who explains the prison's internal dynamics, so Stan forces Larry to take the top bunk while he sleeps on the bottom. Later, Larry reveals that the guards run the prison like a gang, enforcing their own rules, and notes the different groups Stan will encounter, starting with a group of black men, followed by Mexican thugs, Nazis, and hardcore racists, but emphasizes that the true danger comes from Big Raymond, the most feared predator on the block. When Raymond is seen terrorizing a new inmate, Stan steps forward and confidently challenges him in front of the entire block, ending the fight in an instant by effortlessly taking Raymond down, leaving the crowd stunned by his precision and skill at witnessing someone stand up to the feared predator for the first time. Seizing the moment, Patterson, the leader of the Nazi group, approaches Stan to try and recruit him, but an uninterested Stan quickly neutralizes Patterson, shortly after which the African-American gang confronts Stan, furious over his challenge to Big Raymond. Stan tries to de-escalate the situation, even claiming he is also black, but the gang leader isn't convinced and orders an attack, sparking a full-on brawl where Stan effortlessly handles his attackers with the techniques he mastered, while the guards watch with twisted entertainment as he defeats them without breaking a sweat. By the end of the fight, Stan earns the respect of the entire prison, as word quickly spreads about the new inmate who took down the toughest figures in the yard, and with his newfound combat prowess, the prisoners soon begin calling him Big Stan. One day, Robbie, a young inmate Stan had saved from Raymond earlier, approaches to thank him. However, Stan coldly dismisses him, claiming he fought only for himself. Later, Stan is summoned to a private meeting with the warden, who reveals that he orchestrated events to ensure Stan ended up in this particular prison because he has a secret plan to seize control of the prison property and turn it into a high-end estate. Knowing Stan's background as a realtor, he asks for help in identifying any legal flaws in the documents that could jeopardize the project, in exchange for reducing his sentence to just 1 year.
Intrigued by the deal that could change everything for him, Stan agrees to help the warden, but questions how such a bold move will work, though the warden keeps his plan secret for now. Meanwhile, the gangs plot to take Stan down, and while Stan is showering, Patterson sneaks up with a shiv, but Stan is always prepared, and swiftly disarms Patterson using homemade nunchaku made from soap bars and a shoelace. Though Stan's combat skills are sharp, his thoughts constantly drift to his wife, Mindy, whom he misses deeply, and upon contacting his lawyer, he learns that she hasn't filed for divorce yet, offering him a glimmer of hope. Determined, he focuses on helping the warden with the project, but during the process, Stan overhears a conversation between the warden and his associates about a devious plan to incite chaos among the inmates, aiming to provoke violent clashes that will lead to guards shooting prisoners, making the prison seem unmanageable and forcing the Board of Governors to shut it down. Feeling guilty, Stan writes a letter to Mindy apologizing for his selfishness, asking for her forgiveness, and reminding her of his love, while Mindy receives this while spending time with the master. Despite knowing the inmates wanted him dead, Stan feels a strong duty to stop the warden's plan and protect everyone, so the next day he calls a prison-wide meeting to establish order, starting by banning violent video games and movies as a bad influence, and then introducing a crucial rule that no physical assault will be tolerated, meaning anyone caught will answer to him personally. The men grumble, but Stan encourages them to explore consensual relationships instead, and though the concept is strange to them, they reluctantly agree to give it a try. At the next lunch break, Robbie and a group of men approach Stan's table to thank him for implementing the no-assault rule, and though Stan brushes it off as just a way to assert his control, Robbie sees through his tough exterior, recognizing that Stan genuinely cares about their well-being, while Big Raymond, now in a happy relationship with his new boyfriend, enjoys a peaceful meal and a total transformation thanks to Stan's intervention. Then, Stan receives a letter from his wife Mindy, apologizing for her past mistakes and expressing a desire to meet, which sparks hope for reconciliation. And in the following days, whenever disputes arise among the inmates, they come to Stan to mediate, slowly dissolving the tension in the prison, as the inmates begin to appreciate each other's company and form a more peaceful environment. One day, Stan is visited by Mindy, and during their emotional reunion they make love, where Stan is mad when he figures out that Mindy was staying with the master, but their special time is abruptly interrupted when Stan is dragged away and brought before the warden. The warden learns of Stan's success in diffusing conflicts and is furious that Stan's actions are ruining his scheme to sabotage the prison, accusing him of undermining his plan and threatening to kill him if he doesn't start following orders. The next day, Stan calls his lawyer for advice, and the lawyer warns him to comply, pointing out that the warden is a powerful man who can make his life miserable. After the call, Stan tells the inmates their problems are no longer his concern, leading to immediate chaos and fights at lunch, and when Robbie asks for help, Stan cruelly throws his plate and tells him to leave. Even Larry is disheartened, but as he walks away, Stan quietly warns him to avoid the metal fence at noon, making Larry realize Stan is being forced into causing chaos, which prompts him to inform the others, who begin plotting in secret. Meanwhile, the warden arranges a meeting between Stan and the parole board for an early release, while taking them on a tour of the prison, intending to incite violence near the fence during the noon conflict to demonstrate to the board that the prison is beyond control. During the meeting, Stan acts out, hoping his disruptive behavior will lead to his dismissal, and his tactic succeeds, allowing him to rush out to warn the inmates to avoid the fence. Before he can reach them, the warden's assistant, Dee, steps in, revealing he has been trained by the same master, and the two clash in a fierce fight, with Dee initially taking the lead, but Stan outwits him and knocks him out to gain the advantage. Just as the inmates gather in the yard and the guards prepare to shoot, the unexpected happens, because instead of violence, the inmates break into a synchronized dance to an upbeat Mexican song, leaving the guards unsure of how to react. Frustrated and enraged, the warden grabs a gun and begins firing wildly into the air, desperate to regain control, while the Board of Governors watches in shock. And cornered and desperate, the warden tries to kill Stan, but just in time, Mindy arrives with the master and saves him. 3 years later, Stan has finally served his time and is ready to leave prison, and his fellow inmates gather to bid him farewell, with even Patterson showing off a tattoo of Stan's face on his belly. As Stan walks free, he is met by Mindy, the master, and their 3-year-old daughter who has been waiting for him, and together they head home, ready to start their new life. Don't forget to like and leave a comment with your opinion. See you in the next video.